Welcome, Internet, to the Pixel Play Podcast, your weekly podcast where we get together to discuss what's been making news in the gaming industry this week. I am one of your hosts, Kaylan, aka Ktastrophy, joined as always by my co-host, Adam, CSRadical. This week, we're going to be talking about the state of play that PlayStation hosted late last week. We're going to be talking about rumors that are going on with E3, and we're going to be coming to you with a more untimely review, this time of the new release, Knockout City. All that and more in this episode, but first, Adam, I want to ask, how are you holding up with the loss of the Leafs?
I don't want to talk about it. Why would you bring up my pain? That is so mean.
This could not have come as a shock to you.
Could not have come as a shock to me. No. The more of a shock is the fact that you almost staggered your way through that intro.
No, I nailed it. Stick the landing. It doesn't matter.
Nailed it so much that Discord was like, hey, your camera's going to lag perfectly in the first minute of this show. Twitch streams for Pixel Play doesn't ever go well, and I don't know why.
Yeah, the internet here is a little spotty at times, so I apologize. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you are hearing this at this moment, it's too late. We are recording live, and you've missed it. But if you are joining us live, welcome. We really appreciate you being here. Feel free to join in the chat at any time. Give us your thoughts, your opinions. Let us know what you're thinking. Adam, I can trust that you're going to be watching the chat and kind of interjecting with any comments that might come around.
Only the good ones.
Well, of course, we only serve quality.
Only the
podcast.
ones that say how wonderful of a podcaster I am and how horrible a job Kaylan does at intros. I will only look at those.
Hey, that was one of my better ones. Get off.
I'm not the arbiter of all podcast intros. I could not tell you what is a better one and what isn't. I just giggle when you stagger, trying to be like, oh crap, do I talk about this thing first or the other thing first?
What do I talk about? It's almost like we're kind of making this up as we go a little bit.
What? No, we would never do. No, we are fully professional. We have plans.
Yeah, exactly. And they always go according to plan.
Yes, exactly.
Adam, this is our 20th episode, and in typical fashion, on our 10th episode, we are doing this live. I'm really excited because I understand that 95% of all podcasts fail within the first 20 episodes. So, here's to that, my friend.
So we didn't fail. We just trudged ourselves through.
Honestly, that's just mostly life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Adam, what have you been playing besides? We're going to talk about Knockout City a little bit, but have you been playing anything else lately?
Aside from what I've been doing on stream, because I honestly, because of the Leafs, I had to torture myself for a good week. I really honestly haven't played much aside from what I was streaming, so that would have been more Mass Effect, more Final Fantasy 14 when I've been grinding. But for the most part, aside from like playing with Knockout City, nothing really honestly new. Now, this current month of PlayStation Plus, I have 3 things I would love to get my hands on and are already downloading on my console as we speak. So who knows? So Star Wars Squadrons is free this month for PlayStation users, which I'm actually curious about. Virtua Fighter 5. I've never played a Virtua Fighter game, so I figure, hey, here's a perfect way to try. And then Operation Tango, which was that neat 2-player co-op game where one of you is a spy and one of you is a hacker, so you're trying to help each other like break into stuff. And I think that's a really cool idea.
Is this a single player? Like, is this an offline?
It's a 2-player. I think it's 2-player offline or online. I can't remember if it's both or not. I know it's online. I don't know about offline.
Adam, it sounds like you and I have some games that we can play online together.
It is possible.
I mean, I thoroughly loved Star Wars Squadrons, so we could definitely play that as well. And then, yeah, that Operation Tango sounds pretty interesting. So we'll have to get on and try those games.
And it's free, so if it sucks, didn't cost you a dime. But Cyberpunk, on the other hand, priceless. There's my MasterCard commercial.
There we go. We hit it.
Hashtag not sponsored. Sorry, hashtag not sponsored.
We're not sponsored. We're not big enough to be sponsored. But hey, if you'd like to sponsor us, we're not going to say no. Send us some money.
This episode is sponsored by Broken Hearts and Dreams by the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're not Canadian.
Watcher's actually a company called Broken Hearts and Dreams. They're like, did Gary sign off on this sponsorship? I mean, Gary's now sweating in his office being like, I didn't approve of these guys being sponsored. I swear we gave him no money.
I mean, I told Gary to calm down. I wasn't going to tell them the secret sponsorship he gave us, okay?
Yeah. Perfect segue. Taking cracks at Cyberpunk. I still am on that Cyberpunk bandwagon and living the Cyberpunk lifestyle. I'm absolutely loving it. I've gotten to a point in the game where uh, the game is like, if you go any further, you cannot, like, you're not going to get the reins back until the end of the game. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hold on to this and
That's
keep playing.
always the point in a game where you're like, so what you're saying is I need to now spend 100 hours doing everything else.
Well, to me, that point of a game is always like an indication of whether I like it or not. Because if it's like you can't do anything after this point, and I'm like, good, let's go, I'm done. Like that's a sign of a bad.
It's one of three things. It's either okay, good, I'm ready to finish this thing off. Two, it's I made it this far. What the hell? Or three, oh shit, I haven't even started any of this side stuff yet. Oh no, I gotta go now.
I'm literally playing Cyberpunk now like it's a second life, and it's just me just doing random shit in town, and I'm loving it. I know it still has its haters, and rightfully so. Like there are people who,
I mean, yeah, PlayStation still won't put it back on the store yet, so that's not a great sign.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the game is 100% fixed, or I understand why people would be upset, but I am fully into it. Like I am chasing that dragon that is Cyberpunk, and it is fantastic. Speaking of games that are on PlayStation, I figured we could talk about the state of play that went live last Thursday. Adam, did you get a chance to watch it?
No, I totally didn't watch it, and then once the 4K trailer came out, watched it twice because of how fucking pretty it was. No, I didn't. No, I did. I watched nothing. I did not fanboy out. I did not.
I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm just making a lot of claims.
And
They're all untrue. I totally fanboyed the hell out watching that trailer. Oh, it was so good.
So let's talk about this. So last Thursday, PlayStation revealed their state of play for Horizon Forbidden West. Adam, before we go deep diving into it and start talking about some of the nitty gritty stuff, what was your overall impression of that state of play?
Well, I mean, it was only about the one game that I've been wanting information on, so it was a plus in that point. It's probably my favorite state of play because I didn't have to see 10 games that I'm like, I'm not going to buy that.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I've also known ahead, unlike most people that seem to watch these state of plays still, that I know I'm walking into stuff where I'm not going to be getting major news unless they tell us straight up like this one that it's all about Horizon. I wasn't expecting, Final Fantasy 16 to suddenly show up with 10 minutes of footage in a 20-minute stream. No, I don't. This one, on the other hand, I had expectations because I'm like, okay, so I'm getting gameplay. All right. Now, I hope this means actual gameplay, not cinematic gameplay, but no, they definitely showed us legit gameplay. The only frustrating thing is that game now makes me want to play without a HUD.
Adam, we'll get into that in a second. So, yeah, we'll get into like the nitty-gritty kind of stuff of it. But overall, I agree. I thought that the state of play was really good in terms of like it was delivered what it promised. It didn't overhype it. It didn't underhype it. And I thought that, being the brevity was nice. I do kind of wish that, like, I don't know. I like these state of plays and I like that they're small, but I do miss the meatier, bigger, hour sort of, here's a bunch of stuff.
Well, it's almost like we're about to get those with some of these publishers in like, what, a week and a half?
Yeah.
Not Sony, but some.
Yeah. I feel like those bigger conferences are a little bit better because there is more variety. I felt like I was watching and I'm like, this is awesome, but like, I don't need to have 15 minutes of it or whatever. I don't need 20 minutes of it. Like, show me 5 minutes and I'm in. I felt like it was. Well, let's get into it. Overall, like what I liked, what I didn't like. I felt one of the things is I would say it missed a little bit of content in terms of like it was really. It didn't give too much in terms of storyline of what's going on, or it didn't like it was a good gameplay, like it was cool gameplay, but it didn't really tell me anything about the game. Like, no offense, it's Horizon. I know what to expect. I'm going to be fighting giant robot monsters, like, and that's what I saw. But I don't know any more in terms of like what the story's about. I don't know any sort of details, like a couple cool gameplay things. Adam, do you feel like the game or the state of play showed too much or too little, or was it the perfect balance?
I thought it was fine because, I mean, I don't want to know much more about the story because I want to kind of go in not knowing what's going to happen. So
Hmm.
if you give me the bare minimum, which is what they told us, is like, hey, like humans seem to be getting more of a grasp on controlling machines, and there's a storm that's coming that's probably going to kill everybody. I'm like, cool,
Yeah.
that's all I need. I can worry about the rest later. So I was more looking into like, okay, how's the environments looking? Like, how's it traversing differently? The underwater stuff is the main thing I wanted to see, which I got
Hmm.
more than what I wanted out of that. The fighting's obviously what I wanted to see. I wanted to see if they improved anything, if there were new weapons, new archetypes of machines, like, and I got all of those things, which is exactly what I would have expected. If there was anything beyond that, like, I don't know what side quests would have been, or weird little like gimmick things that they have on the maps, like, I don't really need to see that, and they didn't put that in there. They gave me a small section, showed me enough combat to see if what was different, what was new, show me some new enemies, and show me just enough story to be like, okay, I kind of get the sense of where things are going.
Yeah. Now, in terms of like details, do you feel like they should have had like there wasn't any sort of release window or release date? Do you think that was a good choice, a deliberate, a necessity, or do you think it was a poor choice on their part?
I'm kind of surprised they didn't, but then I'm tempering those expectations just because who knows what it's going to look like in say a month or two if they do have what is their version of an E3 press conference where they'll probably give that information. If this was just them saying like, hey, this is, just a gameplay show, like here we're throwing everything out there so you know that it's definitely being made, and here's a pretty good chunk of it that is clearly polished up, so it's not like it's some weird alpha footage. It's definitely completed gameplay. So you're getting what you want, and then after that it's like, okay, release date. It's either going to be much later than we expected, which would be a shame, but pandemic, I'm kind of willing to accept that. Or there's going to be, like I said, a press conference in the next month or two, or at least at some point in the summer where they'll definitely give that, because I think most people are still expecting it to be here at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be here. Otherwise, PlayStation's really going to be empty in terms of, um, in terms of releases and new games come the holiday season,
Yeah,
especially
because
because I
God
have a
of War
feeling
was supposed to be in that spot, right?
it depends who you ask. It was never going to be this,
Well, at least like
2021.
we were all led to believe at some point by somebody that that was going to be in that spot,
Yeah,
along with like
it's
50
weird.
other games that have all been delayed since.
Yeah, it's so weird because like I don't know what Sony was doing with this, and that this is something that you would have seen kind of be the major tentpole of an E3 conference. And the fact that they've now shown this, I don't know what Sony would show at an E3. But at the same time, if you're going to show all this, like it should have been, hey, here's the gameplay. By the way, the release date is going to be the release date's going to be in November or whatever. And I feel like by not putting that, that kind of shows that either like they don't know where development's going to be as because of the pandemic, and then that kind of not necessarily says that this game is in trouble, but it's just like the game's not on track, and there's a possibility it's not going to come out for 2021, and I think that would be an issue. So I don't know, this state of play kind of made me realize like, yeah, there probably isn't going to be anything for E3. And then what do we have to look forward to? Like, how are they just going to drop this as a release date? Like, hey, Horizon's going to come out on this day. Like, I don't know what was shown here. Like, there was a couple things like gameplay wise, but I mean, this was like Horizon's big moment in the spotlight, and I feel they kind of could have shown more or done more.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because I mean, like you said, we know what Horizon is, so did they really need to go above and beyond? I don't think they needed to. I think we all have played Horizon, especially a lot of us now with the PS5 because it was
Hmm.
free.
Hmm.
So we've had the chance just recently to see what it is. So I don't think we needed too much explanation. Although I know it for me, it's been personally long enough because the one guy that she's saving in the gameplay trailer, I totally forgot about him. I'm like, who the hell is that guy and why should I care? And then I realized I'm like, oh wait, okay, nope, brain's clicking back in. So no, I don't know. I'm not particularly like upset that like they didn't go too crazy into showing off a bunch of stuff. And again, with the release date, I'm not worried about it unless we're hitting like late August and we still don't know. Then I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
Sony, seriously, 2 years in a row we're gonna pull this stuff, or we're gonna wait until the end of the year again? Like, come on.
Yeah. In terms of the stuff that they showed that you did, like, what were some things that you caught your eye that you were really impressed by?
Oh, the underwater for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot wait to traverse down there and see all the sunken stuff they're gonna throw in. Not to
What was it
mention,
about the
like
underwater that kind of?
it's sorry. What was you asking there?
I was gonna say, what was it about the underwater that kind of appealed to you? Because typically for me, underwater levels are just and underwater components are just like the worst.
Well, I assume for the most part, combat's not going to be a focus underwater. I mean, if you're probably going to be trying to avoid some shit, it's mostly, I would imagine it's mostly going to be exploration and stealth based, which I'm okay with because I would assume the underwater is going to be more having to do with either escaping stuff or looking for treasures, which is the kind of thing I love doing in open world games. I love just exploring the map and just seeing what I can find. And along with that too, like with the set pieces, like I love now that this is a game where there are recognizable things in it. If there were in the first game, I wouldn't know. But like we see the Golden Gate Bridge in this trailer. We see like things that actually exist now. So now we can have a sense of what this actually is in a much later period of time after we basically screwed everything up.
Yeah, I think there was like some very minor explanations of where it took place, but I don't think there was anything like concrete or definitive.
Yeah.
Because I think it takes place in Denver.
Yeah, there have been people that's... Uh-oh, am I alone? I think I'm alone. Oh, damn. I'm solo, guys. It's just me now. It's just me and you. Aw, damn it, I can see him coming back.
I'm here.
Damn it. I almost had a solo show to myself.
You almost had it, Sarah. You almost had it.
That's a
I don't know what happened there.
That's a damn shame.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you go live. We have
I swear to God, so far I think both of our Twitch shows have at least had some level of difficulty. It just seems like we're not allowed to do this. And the sad part is it's not like we're crazy distances from each other. This isn't like, us across the ocean with internet connections. No. Like we're literally within like at most a 2-hour drive from each other. And that's counting that's counting traffic.
Depends what time of day we're traveling to each other's house. Yeah. For me, I like the going back to what we're talking about with Horizon Forbidden West and what we liked. Were you kind of wrapping up on the water aspects, or did you have more you wanted to talk about before?
Well, I mean, more or less, it's just again like I wanted to see a little bit of expansion of like with open world games. Sure, like Assassin's Creed is a lot of fun, but like it's the same kind of traversing. You climb stuff, you jump over stuff, and that's it. Horizon, I'm like, okay, I'm climbing stuff, I'm jumping over stuff. At some point, can somebody do something different? And then they were like, we're going underwater. I'm like, thank you. I don't even care if there's combat to it, and it kind of sucks because I know it won't be a focus because it would make no sense to do that. Because everybody in game development knows that underwater combat is dumb. I imagine they're not going to go too heavy on it. Unless they figure out some magic way to finally like break the trend of underwater combat actually not sucking in video games. But... yeah. I'm not assuming that, and I don't think they are either. I would assume most of it's still related to stealth and exploration, which is what I would like to see. And all intents and purposes, what I saw was exactly what I wanted. I don't feel like I was gypped of anything. Also, I didn't go in expecting too much. I would just wanted enough to be like, okay, this is what it's going to look like. This is how it's playing. Here's a couple of new things. Like seeing the elephant machine, I'm like, cool, that's awesome. I'm down. The fact that I can fight people on top of a machine and like blow something up and see them fly out and ragdoll. I'm just missing the Wilhelm scream, like all that stuff. That's exactly what I wanted. I don't need much more because, again, story, I'm already in on Horizon. I don't need a story trailer because I'm already connected. I don't need you to tell me why to play it. I'm already in.
Yeah, you're making a good point. For me, I like the combat aspect. It looks like there's more variety in terms of the weapons. I feel like melee is going to be taking a bigger, role in terms of combat, and I really like that. So for me, it's the combat. It's the I've seen that I'm going to call it the goo grenade for all intents and purposes, or using like EMPs. Like it looks like the combat's going to be a lot more interesting.
Oh, the Breath of the Wild parachute like glider thing. Yes. I love that. Yeah,
so you can actually jump down from quick things now.
Yeah, that makes me so happy because I totally never died from fall damage a lot in those kinds of games.
No. Yeah, and I like how like a lot of games now they have it where that's like now a perk is that you don't take fall damage. The other thing I really liked, and I don't know if you noticed it when they were battling that, like mecha woolly mammoth, is the destructible environments.
Yep.
And I think that's a huge game changer.
It seems like it includes even stuff that you can use to shoot from point to point, which is interesting.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there was a spot in the game where she's using I guess like this new thing where she's got like almost like a hook shot and she's like running around like clawing her way like and shooting between like sections.
Yeah.
And I see the mammoth going through those exact areas that she's going, so it makes me wonder if you actually can lose some of your traversal spots depending on the enemy, which to me really is an interesting way of making you have to actually work a little bit harder in gameplay instead of just doing what everybody does and say Batman, the Arkham games, where you just, anytime you get in trouble, you just go up into the rafters and you're fine. Whereas this game could be like, no, you can't do this the entire fight, and actually make you like be on the ground and have to learn how to dodge. I kind of like that because it forces you to not just play one style the entire way through.
Yeah. In terms of like graphics and performance, this was captured on a PS5. Do you have any concerns about this being a PS4 game as well? Like, I know it is being made for the PS4 as well. Like, how do you think that's going to go?
As long as we get 60 frames at 1080p, I don't care. I honestly don't. If they give us 1080p 60 frames, I'm good. And we're seeing with games as they come along, they've been getting better. Like Watch Dogs Legion just got a ray tracing 60 frames patch. So
nice.
You know, even if Horizon doesn't have it at launch, if they keep working on it, they'll eventually put one in there. So I'm not necessarily worried about how it works on PS4 because I think since they spent the bulk of the work on PS5, I would imagine, because this was initially announced as a PS5 game, I would assume that they've already had their presets and now they just started lowering it specifically for the PS4 version. I don't think we're going to get too much of an effect of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exclusive, so it won't be too hard for them, but I do think that there's going to be a little bit of a challenge.
I mean, if you're playing on PS4, there might be a bit of a challenge. It might be a little challenging. You might be capped at 30 frames because, I mean, you're probably not, the hardware can't take it. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be so substantial that like it's a Cyberpunk situation where it literally doesn't run. I don't think we're going to get that because that would be really bad on Sony's part for their own flagship right now to not have that. That would be. You want to talk about failures because Horizon can fail on PC at launch because no one expected that to ever be on PC in the first place, and then they fixed it, which is great. If they screw it up on their own consoles, whoa, the Xbox fanboys are going to love that. And us Sony fanboys are not. Are not at all.
No. Yeah, otherwise graphically, like artistic direction, like what do you think of it? Like,
it's more colorful. I love it.
I do
it's
too.
Even more colorful now.
See, now, is it just me? When you played the first one looked great, but it had a weird orange tint to it. Or was that just me?
I think that had to do with more of where they were. I think because now you're out in like the West Coast where the beaches and everything, you're going to get a lot more color. I imagine because if you're right or if people are right in saying this is in Colorado, I don't imagine you're going to get like nearly as vibrant of stuff out more towards the ocean. So because that's the thing, you can hand wave it anyway. You're close to the ocean. There's all this extra stuff going around. Like it also could just turn ocean-based areas into like almost rainforest. We don't know. I don't know how that stuff is going to work if we go like hundreds of years without society ruining it.
Yeah, we're no scienticians, so it's hard for us to say. And I mean, it's just scientifically proven that there is more color at the ocean, so they don't live in drab, monotone.
Depends on if the ocean is clean or not. We got to be careful about that because otherwise it's a different kind of color.
Fair enough. Adam, any sort of closing thoughts on Horizon Forbidden West?
Well, over the last weekend, I got a COVID shot in my veins. Now I need the Horizon shot in my veins. So let's go.
Which one do you think you're going to get first? The second shot?
Oh, it's going to be the Horizon. Or sorry, not the Horizon. It's going to be the COVID one because we're going to get that by like August, September. So I'm assuming that I will be shocked if it's announced to be anything before November. I would assume November is probably the tentative date.
Yeah. I think it's going to be sometime in November.
It's either going to be like November or like the earliest December. Like we've seen a bunch of games recently now get like December 4th like level release dates, which is around that point where it's like, guys, you're going to screw some people's Christmas shopping over. You better be careful with that.
Yeah. For me, I think it's going to be early November or late October. That's what I'm thinking it's going to be.
Yeah, I think late October is like probably best case scenario, but my brain just immediately thinks like November or like 15th, like right in smack in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, let us know what you think about the Horizon State of Play that happened last week. So if you guys are watching us right now in Discord, or on twitch.tv, feel free to just message us in the chat. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment on the bottom below. Adam, talking about games that are coming up in the future, I thought we could maybe talk about some other games that are going to be coming around. As you know, E3 is less than 12 days away now. It starts on the 13th, I believe.
It might be earlier,
12th.
but that
Yeah,
I can't tell if it's actual shows or like pre
we're two
stuff.
weeks. We're 2 weeks away. So I thought, typically podcasts at this time of year would be going around doing prediction episodes, and we could certainly do that as well. But let's be honest, we're two guys that just play video games. We're not in the industry. We're not connected. We have no insight to what's going on. So I thought,
Can I make one
I'm
quick
sorry.
prediction just before?
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a really hot take prediction. There's gonna be games at E3.
man, you're a betting man. I bet.
I'll put
So
money on that.
yeah, yeah. You feel confident
I'll
about that
put
one?
some gill down on that.
I think you're going to be right on that one, but I thought what we could do is we could kind of go through some of the rumors that are floating around about E3, and you and I could kind of chat about, whether these are true or not. So I don't know if you want to do it black and white, like whether we think just keep it as a yes or no if it's going to happen, or if we want to put it on a ranking scale. Like,
I thought you were about to start by
yes,
saying there was gonna be a black and white 3. I'm like, damn, I didn't know was it Peter Molyneux was those games?
linear, yeah.
Yeah.
Peter
I don't
Molyneux.
think Peter Molyneux's back in the industry, is he?
Where's he been lately? He just kind of disappeared. Like,
He took his money from all the Fable fans and ran. That's what he did.
but did he ever like physically, or not physically, like, did he ever like officially announce anything, or did he just kind of disappear?
I think he just kind of vanished into obscurity. I think because once Fable just kind of faded away, like pretty much Lionhead was gone.
Yeah, I know he did that little cube game as well that kind of turned into nothing. Peter Molyneux, I'm concerned about you. If you're watching the show, can you just email us at pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com? Hold up today's newspaper and just let us know you're okay. Just want to do a public service, wellness check. Let us know,
At the very
please.
least, tell Gary we said hi.
Yeah. So Adam, I thought we'd just kind of go through and we can kind of talk. Do you want to leave this as like a black and white sort of yes or no, or do we want to put it on a scale, like definitely, maybe, definitely not kind of thing? I feel
Uh,
like the yes or no might be better.
I'm gonna go in the like unsure, like definitely and not,
Okay.
because like the unsure is like I don't want to spend like 20 minutes sitting there being like, oh, I'm gonna try to big brain this. I don't want to do that.
All right. I'm going to keep it a little bit more black and white and do yes or no. So let's just get started. No particular order, no particular source. These are just rumors that, I quickly just found, scouring the websites. So let's get into it. First big one. Rockstar finally reveals GTA 6. Yay or nay?
I don't think there is a god's chance in hell we might even see it in this decade at the rate we're going. We're going to be talking about PlayStation 6 getting the GTA 5 port along with. Joking aside, I still think we're nowhere close. Every time, like, I've been seeing rumors about them announcing this game for like 3 years now. It never happens. I'm going to play the Half-Life 3 role every single time I get asked this from now on until we actually see some very, like, verifiable evidence, because I keep getting burned on it because I keep thinking it might happen and it doesn't. So I'm going to start using reverse psychology. I'm going to say way no, because maybe this will finally be the year it happens. I'm doing this for you guys, okay?
I think we're poised to have it. Like, I think it makes sense to have it revealed, but
I
my
think
question
in
is where
Rockstar's defense, it might even be better to wait a little bit longer once everybody's firing again, so that they can see like what the standard is on the new console, so they can be like, all right, let's in typical GTA fashion, let's just wash our hands and just smack them.
yeah, I don't know.
They might hold it back just to see where everybody's at.
See, I feel like, yeah, it makes sense.
Because they
I
don't
did
have to
find
do
out-
anything. They honestly could just release new content for another decade, and they'll still make more than enough money than they'd ever need to make another game.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I don't think this is happening either. I think GTA 6 is just, you could literally announce it on a Sunday at 2 a.m. and people will just flip out. Like, it doesn't need a show. It doesn't need an audience. The audience will find them when
They'll
announce
literally
it, so.
just pull up a like 2-hour trailer going over everything, and it'll just be on the most obscure thing. It won't even be on YouTube. It'll be on Vimeo, just cause.
Yeah, they'll just like hire it out to like whatever sort of streaming platform and they'll just make money.
They probably would have
I'm
streamed
trying
it
to
on
remember.
Mixer, but rip Mixer.
Where do you remember where was GTA 5 announced?
I could not tell you. That's how long it's been.
I'm gonna look right now.
It's been way too damn long. Let's see if
Yeah, it looks. I'm looking right now. It was on October 25th that it was revealed. So
October
yeah,
25th, 2011. That's 10 years almost. Holy shit.
yeah, and they debuted the trailer 1 week later. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's some time. That's a little bit of time.
they don't need E3.
No.
All right, next one. Saints Row makes a return. Saints Row 5, Adam. Is this happening or not?
I mean, it's happening. It's just the question of will it show up? And my answer is mostly yay. Like I'm it depends on who's getting, like, because we don't know if they're maybe signed off to be more exclusive to somebody first right away. So for all we know, Sony might have a bit of a stake in it and we don't see it for a little bit longer until they do it. Or it could show up just randomly at maybe Summer Game Fest or something, because I don't know who they'd be attached to. The only place they could show up really would be Xbox.
Yeah, well,
so they only have
Deep
one
Silver,
shot at coming out.
I know Deep Silver, the publisher or the developer, is like I know Deep Silver is a participant or a partner with E3, but I don't think it has a presence on stage. And unless it's going with Microsoft, I don't think it's there. Where I could see this happening is I can see something like this being through Summer Game Fest as opposed
That's
to
where
E3.
my brain's going to, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to see it on E3, but Summer Game Fest we will.
I mean, during the festivities, yeah, good chance we do.
Yeah.
They need
You know what?
something because people are so, like, annoyed that they stopped making Saints Row to make, what was that, for Agents of something?
Agents of Mayhem?
I think that was it. And
Yeah.
it just bombed so bad.
And they haven't done anything since, so you know what? It could come out because
I mean, they did the remaster, but they didn't even do it. They pawned it off to somebody else, and they did a fantastic job with it.
When did the remaster come out?
I think last year, maybe the year before.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so it's due for it to have a new edition.
It'd be a good time.
Big one for Nintendo. Nintendo Switch Pro official reveal.
That's the tough one. I figure no, because I feel like they want to devote their own thing, but Nintendo is weird in how they structure their announcements, so I wouldn't be shocked if it was.
See, I think that they are. I think Nintendo will kind of do like a one last thing moment, and they'll, show a handheld version of it or something like that. They'll just be like, oh, like one more thing. Like, it's real, and they'll hold it up, and then that'll be it. Like, they're not going to go too deep into it, but they'll just kind of like show that it exists, confirm that, it's being developed. And then they'll do like a deeper dive, a month or two later.
I don't think it would be the one more thing if they showed it, but they would definitely like either kick it off with that or be like something pretty quick so they could spend like 20 minutes in the middle going off about it and then like go back onto fun stuff.
No, I think it'll be think of how cool that would be. Like, you're having
I don't think it's cool enough that it's a one more thing though, because it's already existing. It's just a better version. I don't think that's a one more thing. Like, one more thing is Metroid Prime 4 finally existing.
We should actually keep track of these. So we'll come back and keep track of these. We should see how this works.
Yeah, you can rewatch the video and note it all down.
I'm saying yes. It's gonna happen. Keeping with Nintendo, Breath of the Wild 2 gameplay trailer.
I am also torn on that. I'm just gonna say no, only because the first time they showed anything at Breath of the Wild, it was not gameplay. So I think they might just because they haven't even shown us any indication that it's even Breath of the Wild 2. So I would be more in the lines of believing that they'll just show us a cinematic trailer and not any gameplay. I don't even think they'd need to show gameplay, honestly.
I'm going to say it is going to be there. I think this will be like their big flagship tentpole game that they're doing. And because if I recall, I think they did actually do a cinematic trailer at one point already. Wasn't there one where like Zelda and Link were in some sort of dark cave or something like that? And they're like, oh yeah, there's like a dark Ganon.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I don't know. It's been so long since
now that you say it, it sounds familiar, and just my brain is like just coming up with anything else but what that one thing was.
See, it's been so long, and like I have a feeling it's going to come out this year. That Breath of the Wild is going to come out this year.
You think they'd shock us? Like, well, you know what? It would definitely be a big bombshell to throw on.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, what else does Nintendo have coming right now?
That's normal for Nintendo, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't have anything big coming up. It's been what, 5 years since Breath of the Wild?
What are you talking about? Nothing big's coming out. There's like 7 more Fire Emblem characters coming in Smash soon.
I said something big. But anyways, it's been like three to 5 years since like Zelda came out, so like they need another one, and I think we're poised to have it released. And at this point, they should have something done, so they can
Well,
definitely.
wait,
do,
wouldn't
like,
they also
gameplay.
have Skyward Sword to possibly come out too?
Yeah, they do have Skyward Sword coming out as well.
So that might be kind of something they focus on too.
But the other thing with
That's
Breath of
why
the
I'm just
Wild-
like, when you say Breath of the Wild 2 being this year, I'm like,
but I think
don't know.
Skyward Sword is like July, is it not? I thought like
I don't know. Let's see.
the other reason why I'm thinking that we need to see Breath of the Wild 2 gameplay is that Zelda's in a weird position in that what does that game look like? Is it the same gameplay as Breath of the Wild but just in a new area? Is it, new combat style? Like it's a weird game to have a sequel over.
It's also like, even the thought of how big that map is, like, would you really want to make an entire new map again? Because it makes no sense, because it's literally all the same areas. So unless you're going to a completely different part of the world, which doesn't make sense because it always takes place in Hyrule, you'd have to reuse the map, right?
But the key point of that game was to explore the map, and we've already explored it, so that mystery's gone. So unless
that's the weird kind of box you put yourself in, isn't it?
so there's a lot of questions then that I feel like need to be answered that would be
Solution.
answered with a gameplay trailer.
Dark World.
That might be what they're doing, but I feel regardless of what they're doing, we're gonna have to see it to answer a lot of our questions that we have about Breath of the Wild. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna say yeah, we're gonna see it. I'm gonna throw these two together and we can kind of talk about them in generalities. Metroid Prime 4 makes an appearance at E3, and a 2D Metroid reveal and release date. The 2D Metroid reveal and release date is coming as a result of that rumors coming from set leaks that occurred earlier, and it suggests that it's going to be coming out in 2022. Adam, are we seeing Metroid at this Nintendo conference?
Yes, but it won't be
What are
Prime
we seeing?
4.
You don't think so?
I think Prime 4 is becoming Nintendo's Half-Life 3. I swear to God, how many years have we seen, like, the words put in there? I think the most we've ever seen was a picture of a logo, and that was probably 3 years ago. I don't know what's going on, but it's very strange how we've gone this long with a game that clearly everybody wants, clearly a game that Nintendo seemed to want to make, and it just has been very quietly not shown anywhere. Seems like it's been scrubbed.
See, I know that last that we heard is that the development was restarted in 2019. So it's been about 2 years since that's happened. So at this point, there should be some sort of assets to show.
Perhaps.
And if there was potential, they wouldn't. If there wasn't potential, they wouldn't keep developing and stuff. And so the fact that they restarted it, in 2019, it's about baked, and so it's about time to put it out and let people see it. So I think we're going to see Metroid Prime 4. And if we see a Metroid Prime 4, then we'll see a 2D Metroid. I don't think they're going to show a 2D Metroid if there's no word on Metroid 4. I think the blowback from fans would be outrageous if they're like, no, we want Metroid 4 and you're giving us a 2D Metroid. Like,
I don't know if that 2D Metroid was a remake of like a Switch remake of Super Metroid, I think people would be okay with it. It really depends on what, like, if it's a remake of either the original or Super Metroid, I think people would be like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
We'll deal with that for now.
Maybe.
I'm also just in the case too that, like, I feel like so much has been screwed up because of COVID that I'm not sure if Metroid Prime 4 is that kind of game that somehow COVID managed to get them to get all together and finally get that thing going. I'm still in the mind of, like, a lot of major things is still a year away from getting shown off.
Yeah, I could see. You make a good point there. It'll be interesting to see what this E3 looks like.
I mean, it'd be great to have a lot of, like, this would be the year to have a lot of big reveals because people are just starting to get out. Like, a lot of places in the States are finally going to get rid of masks soon. Mm-hmm. So, like, people are ready. This would be a great way to really, like, celebrate it by being like, all right, here's all the games that you normally, would never get to go line up at the store at or go do all this, but this is what you're going to look forward to at your first post, like, pandemic lockdown shopping spree Christmas.
Play these games.
Yeah.
Go back and sit and play these games.
No. You can put you got a Switch. You can play outside.
It's true. go switch over to Ubisoft. Rainbow Six Quarantine gets reintroduced with a with a new name.
I mean, I don't care because I don't know if that kind of game is gonna really work well because Siege has taken up so much of that market now. I almost feel like it'd be weird to bring that game in now. But
Honestly,
that being said, could it? That's probably one of those ones that, like, if it happens, I wouldn't be shocked because it would be an under the radar thing. I'm just trying to think of where it would be. I guess Xbox for that. Oh wait, sorry, Ubisoft.
yeah,
I'm
Ubisoft
dumb.
has their own conference. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I don't. Does this game get renamed? 100%. They're not calling this game Quarantine.
I don't
Is it
know.
good?
I don't know. Division. Actually, no. That might cross over with Division. It might not be because of COVID. It might be because it's technically taking out Division stuff.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with this game because like this is the second time that Rainbow Six has had a game get renamed or rebuilt. Because I don't know if you remember, but oh god, like years ago there was that. Honestly, like
Wasn't
Rainbow
there
Six
a
has an
Rainbow
interesting-
Six 4 before Siege was a
Rainbow
thing?
Six, yeah, Rainbow Six Patriots. Was,
Oh,
one
that's
of those.
right.
Yeah, and remember that one was built around the whole Occupy Wall Street movement. So Rainbow Six is not doing very well in terms of like getting the whole. They're a little too close to the nose.
It's weird that apart from Siege, Rainbow Six just seems to be in this thing of like it's either really getting a little bit too close to reality or it's just absolutely over the top, like pay to win, like the last Ghost Recon games have been recently.
Yeah. So I don't think this game is going to appear, or at least it's not going to appear as we currently saw it. Like it's
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
this
don't
one's
worry,
a-
you're not going to get Splinter Cell again because all Ubisoft
No.
wants to do is put Sam Fisher in some friggin' mobile game that you're not going to play.
I was gonna ask you this. Do you think we're gonna see Sam Fisher and Splinter Cell at Ubisoft?
No.
No. I think we are.
I'm
I think this is the year.
convinced that Ubisoft does not give a shit that people want a Splinter Cell because people have been
No.
asking for Splinter Cell as long as they've been asking Ubisoft for Beyond Good and Evil 2, and we all see that's not happening either. So
No, I think this year we're gonna get a Splinter Cell game. I can feel it. I think
I'm sorry to kind of defeat you on this and being like, look, I know you're trying to get some hope in there, but no, I don't think
No.
Ubisoft cares enough.
it's gonna happen, and like because they're still using like they're still bringing him and putting him in as like DLC for other games, and like they're still using him for promotional material. So like
It's
if you
they're
look,
more interested in milking them though. That's all.
but they wouldn't do that if they weren't to, like, make more money off of
Ubisoft?
No. What I'm saying is like if they're gonna milk him, they're gonna milk him and make a game out of it. So I think we're gonna say it. Like I'm putting my bet. I will bet you that Splinter Cell is gonna be at Ubisoft.
Okay.
Let's do it. All right. Square Enix Final Fantasy new game. Are we gonna get a new announcement for a new Final Fantasy game?
I'm going to say no, unless because I don't know if Square Enix has a conference, then yes. But if Square Enix isn't doing like
a
a
conference.
okay, so then yes. And I'm gonna hate it.
Square. Yeah.
I'm gonna hate it because I know exactly what it's going to be. Because the rumor is that they're working with Team Ninja on a more action-based game. To which I go, thanks Square. I know that you guys love me.
I'm gonna check. I think Square Enix has an E3 conference.
If they do, they 100% will because they need to torture me more by having now a 20-year gap between their last turn-based game and the previous one.
Yeah. E3. They've confirmed that they'll be there. Square Enix will be there.
Yeah, so it's going to be there. Yeah, they need to hurt me more. I understand.
See, so my thing is, I'm gonna say no, and I'm deferring to you. So you're probably right, and I'm probably wrong, just because I don't follow Final Fantasy or Square Enix at all, so I don't really know there. But my understanding is that with Final Fantasy 16, wouldn't their focus and their priorities be on that? Because it's not released yet. And I don't think we have a release date yet.
No, they're still working on that.
So I don't know if they would announce, "Hey, here's another game coming out before this one even does." Like I feel
well,
like
it's not going to be numbered, so I think they could be okay with it. Not to mention they are still working on 7 Remake Part 2. So I mean, they're definitely doing a bunch of projects. Not to mention the rumor in question that I think you're talking about is a whole other studio doing it. So
Okay.
I don't think it would take much out of them either.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, like I don't know, but I would imagine that from a business standpoint, you may not want to have like 2 different Final Fantasies coming up.
Well,
By the way, this Final
it may
Fantasy
have.
looks so cool.
I'm still worried about it though, just because like I've said it on so many other occasions. I just don't like that the game is gone away from what its roots were. And this isn't me being like nostalgia horror kind of thing. It's just literally Final Fantasy was always known as a turn-based game, and they're trying to turn it into an action game. They're trying to basically turn it into Kingdom Hearts. If you want to work on Kingdom Hearts Square, just keep doing Kingdom Hearts games. It's just I feel like the numbered games. I honestly, if Final Fantasy 16, the action game, was just another Final Fantasy game, it was just like Final Fantasy Crystal, and like it's its own thing. Cool. But the numbered games have been like everybody looks at 7, 6, 10, like 9, like all these games, and what all do they have in common? They're all old school turn based, like Dragon Quest is. So I think it just puts people off a lot. And not to mention the history of their not turn based games has not been that great, because 12 is fine. 13 is either you love it or you despise it, and more people seem to be in the despise camp. And then 15 was a broken game at launch because they rushed it out the door really quick, so like half of the game's story made no sense. So people don't have a fond opinion of that game either. So if we're taking the MMOs out, anything post like 10 doesn't get a lot of like positive favor with old school Final Fantasy fans. And Square's really playing with fire, because I've said it myself. I don't care that it's more mature and there's blood like we just see here on the screen for those watching the video version. I don't care if it's more mature rated. It's still not the kind of game that we have been shown to be the best of the best in a long time, and that's just what worries me. And when the rumor, like I said, about a Team Ninja action-based, like Ninja Gaiden almost level game, or like Neo, that worries me, because again, it's just straying away and just using the license to go like take stabs at stuff you've never tried before, which I don't think you use with something with this pedigree.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've got nothing to add on top of that. You kind of like you're the Final Fantasy expert.
I don't have enough figurines and games on my little shelf there to prove that I'm a Final Fantasy fan. Although you can't really see them because of distance.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna skip a couple of these smaller ones. Big one that's coming out that we're going to see Starfield gameplay reveal, or at least a trailer. Of
they
Starfield.
Better.
And a 2022 release date. What do you think on that one?
I mean, it's a thumbs up, not because I think it'll be there, but because if it isn't, people are going to be pissed.
Yeah, like I think it's definitely going to be there, and it's simply just because...
Yeah, imagine Bethesda's first conference with Xbox, and the one thing everybody expects will be there is not. Imagine that.
Yeah, now, the only thing I can see as an alternative is...
I mean, it's not going to be Elder Scrolls 6. We can say that much for sure. They might show another teaser of it, but it's not going to be showing much important.
Yeah, I feel like Xbox is going to need to say here to justify why they bought Bethesda. And so, yeah, it's either going to be a Fallout game, but it's more likely going to be Starfield. Do you think that 2022 timeline is going to fit?
I think because of what I said earlier with COVID just screwing so many dates up, is I kind of feel like it's going to be pushed back. Because we've heard so little about it, it would really surprise me if it's actually coming out in like 6 months, or less than 6 months, I guess.
I think it would. I mean, if you think about Bethesda's big gameplays, like they did that with Fallout 76 and they did that with Fallout 4, where it was, hey, this is the trailer, and by the way, it's going to be out in September, October. And so I think that's how Bethesda operates. And you have to remember that we didn't have an E3 last year, so the last time, like Starfield was officially revealed to us in 2019, so it's been another 2 years since we've got a release. And so
but everybody kind of did their own video package anyway, and nothing was shown really then. So
yeah, I don't know. I think 2022 does make sense in terms of release date.
I do agree with that. It's just they could really Xbox could have a massive favor with fans if Starfield is announced for this year.
Yeah,
assuming it doesn't get delayed like everything. But if it's fine, people will be pretty happy about that. That'll be a nice thing to go out. Assuming Starfield is actually... Because I still don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if it ends up being something cool, then I'm down.
Yeah.
I can't play it, but maybe I'm down. Actually, that's a lie. I could probably play it on PC, but...
Do you think we're going to see Fable at the E3 conference? At the Xbox conference?
In general, I would imagine so. It's just a matter of what. Because the last thing we got was literally a 15-second teaser trailer. We might get a little bit more, but I don't think we're getting gameplay still.
I think this is
because I'm not even convinced that this game is even in development still. I think they might still even be in planning stages.
No, I think they're much further ahead than you think, and I think we will see. I think Microsoft is ready to come out, both guns like blazing kind of thing. Um, and so I think you're going to see a lot of gameplay. I think you're going to see a lot of new games coming out. Like they've been putting a lot of effort into having a lineup to show, and I think this is their year to do it.
I mean, I hope
I
they
feel like
do.
they've got the momentum.
I hope they
So
do.
I think we will see Fable this year. There's obviously the rumor about like, oh, like was Halo Infinite going to be there? Like, of course Halo Infinite's going to be there. It's Halo. It's 2 years behind. Of course it's going to be there. So, uh, the last one staying with Xbox and Bethesda. Wolfenstein 3. Are we going to see a Wolfenstein 3?
I mean, like I said with Starfield, they almost better because people hated the last game so much that I
Hmm.
think they need to show people that something can be fun again. And it doesn't involve, not because it's two women, but two women screaming, "Heck yeah, dude!" over and
Yeah.
over again. I think we're good if we just go back to shooting Nazis and shooting robot Nazis, okay? I think we're fine with that. I think we'll be okay with that. Throw some heavy metal music on and let's just go, okay?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get Wolfenstein 3 yet. I think we're going to be getting it, but I think Bethesda's going to have enough to show with some of their other games that are coming out. Starfield. There's that rumor of like that Arcane studio coming out. It'll be interesting to see if Deathloop
Well,
is
isn't
on there
Arcane, I was
because
going to say, isn't Arcane Deathloop?
Arcane. So there's two Arcanes. There's Arcane Leon, which is their French studio, and then there's Arcane. I think it's Arcane Texas, Austin, Arcane Austin, and they're the ones that do Dishonored and Prey. And then there's Arcane Leon, which is doing Deathloop.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah,
So
you could make a case that there's something going on with that side as well, but
I feel like
I think Wolfenstein would be one of those things like you just kind of throw in for like a 2 or 3 minute trailer, just kind of in between as like a filler.
yeah,
Because I mean,
I just
Wolfenstein isn't a massive title; it's more just like the one that like a few people are really into, right?
it's I would say it's one of Bethesda's like B tier stuff. I'd put it up there with like Dishonored. I'd put it up there with like even Doom to a certain extent. Like it's not their AAA big titles, but like it's got a decent and strong following of the people who like it, love it, and they'll swear by it. And so I think, they have a team there, but it's not going to be, oh my God, Wolfenstein 3 is coming out. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to come out yet. I think they're going to have enough on their plate to show, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be Wolfenstein. So last one, we have one more here for Nintendo. New Donkey Kong.
It's been so quiet. I feel like there has to be something. It's been. I can't even
Yeah.
remember what the last thing was.
So the last one for at least the Nintendo Switch was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze,
Yeah, it was
which,
just the
if I
port.
understand, is like, but it's I think it's like doing really well. It's like one of the best-selling
Sure, but it's
Switch
a
games, I
port.
think.
So I mean, like in
Yeah,
terms of something new, it's been a while, so it would make sense.
yeah, I think so as well.
There's also
I
been
think
rumors
that
that they might go the Donkey Kong 64 route and try something different again with it, which I'd be open to. Because Donkey Kong 64 was actually really fun. It's just, you know,
I think you remember that more with rose-colored glasses. I don't think it's actually as good as you remember it.
I mean, it's no Quest 64. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I think they will do a new Donkey Kong game, but I think they'll stay with that 2D system. I mean, I think Tropical Freeze proved that, it can be successful and it can do well.
You only
And
wonder though
so,
that because of how well Breath of the Wild did, that they maybe get a little greedy and see if they can do it somewhere else too, and see what happens.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like if they
It would
do
be
that, they have.
Metroid would be the smarter option, but Prime 4 doesn't exist, so I can't say it's that.
I think the problem though is that if they do that, then they start falling into a trap of all the like they basically fall into the Sony thing where everything becomes a third party action adventure game, and so everything just becomes an open world
If they
exploration
make them
game.
as good as what people like them, who cares?
Fair enough. I
As
don't know.
long as
I
you're
think Donkey
complimenting
Kong
it, I
is.
think it's fine.
I think Donkey Kong, yay. I think it's going to be a 2D traditional, Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country experience. Awesome. So yeah, I think we covered most of the major rumors circulating at around E3. So hopefully we got a couple of them right. I'm really excited about some of them that are listed here. But Adam, I figure we can kind of move away from talking about games that are coming out in the future and talk about one that just came out recently. Uh, Figure we can do a little untimely review for Knockout City. We've both had an opportunity to play it, If you're new to us, we are not affiliated with any sort of gaming publishers. We don't have any relationships with them. So we don't get our games for free. And so we pay for them just like you do. And in this case, we got it as I'm assuming you got the free trial version, right?
Yeah, and I mean now the free trial is available to anybody until you hit level 25, I believe now. So
Hmm.
that was smart on their part to do that because let's be completely honest, a week is not enough time.
No. And this is a game that'll benefit from having the longer it lasts, like you want people coming in later. Like if you gave it 10 days, like you're gonna have a lot of people who never got to it. And this is a game that people need to try. So let's get into it and we can talk a little bit later about, the strategy in terms of rolling this out. But Adam, surface level, what are your thoughts on Knockout City?
I hate it and I love it at the same time, and I'm not really sure which one comes first.
All right, why don't you break that down for us? Why do you love it?
I love the art style. I love the idea of dodgeball, and I love the fact that it's not like some crazy like the way that they made it sound like it almost seemed like it was some battle royale thing. I'm glad that it's more like arena competitive. So I was happy about that. The downside to that is that when I suck like I do, it is not fun sometimes. It is a lot of not fun.
Yeah, so I have a similar experience to you. Like I played it and it was fun to play it, but like I wasn't very good at it either, but I felt like it wasn't punishing to the point that like, oh man, screw this, I'm out, I don't want to play this. It was I was playing it and I'd get knocked out and I'm like, okay, I want to get back in there and I want to play it.
I also don't know if there was skill-based matchmaking at all when they do these, so that's the hard part, because there were some games where I felt like there was nothing I could do. Like, I was just taking on, like, esports level guys. So, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I think in terms of gameplay, like I'll start with gameplay. Like, I think the game loop that they have here is awesome. I think having smaller teams, 3-on-3, great call. I like the fact that there's no sort of that, it's automatic locking. There's no sort of challenge there. I do sometimes feel that the locking is kind of weird and it doesn't always get who I want it to get. And I kind of like the map layout's really easy. Like it does feel like an old arcade, like arena shooter kind of idea, and I really like that. I do feel that it was a little, one-sided in terms of like you could have someone who knows exactly what they're doing versus someone who's just trying it out. But I mean, there's no real way of like preventing that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really good. The problem is I don't know how long I stay with it. Like it's fun and I played it, but like I don't know. This is a game. I feel like this is a game that would have benefited from being on PlayStation Plus or I believe it is on Xbox Game Pass. But I feel like that's how this game should have been delivered. And I think having a game to like level 25 is a definite good way of going about doing it.
This is a game, honestly, like, this is very similar to what Destruction's All-Stars is for me, where it's fun, but I cannot play this for long stretches. I played it on stream for just over an hour, and I legitimately wanted nothing to do with the game when I was done with it. I'm like, I have played way too much, I'm done. I could pop in, play 3-4 rounds, probably be happy with it. Unless I'm on a hell of a roll, then maybe it's okay. But like, if you're like having just even one really frustrating loss, man, it is hard to kind of go back. Maybe it's just the kind of person I am personally, but I don't know. I don't see this game being the kind of thing that I can do over and over and over, unless I'm trying to be like, this has esports potential, I think.
It does.
So if that was my thing, then it would be a whole different ballgame for me. But because I'm just a casual kind of, I'm just trying to have some fun. Sometimes I don't know if this is the right thing. I think if they added bots, I could probably have some more fun with it. But playing against humans, sometimes, because I don't know how the matchmaking runs, it can be pretty frustrating. And I think that's probably the big part of it for me, is that in the same vein of like playing single player games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, sure, I might enjoy like some stretches, but I also don't enjoy the really rough stretches, and it makes me not want to play it for long stretches. And that's kind of what Knockout City did to me.
See, for me, I disagree. I find that it is a perfect balance. It's easy to pick up, but like there's definitely some skill and mastery that can be involved. And it reminds me a lot more, not so much of like Destruction All Stars, but more like Rocket League, where it's easy to pick up. I can kind of get someone and just say, yeah, here's dodgeball. Like, the rules of dodgeball. There's a little bit of nuance in terms of, the special balls, but the fact that it even keeps it simple is like, there's one special ball. Like, it's not hard to teach. It's not hard to get. And I could get my friends in and we can play, a couple rounds and have a lot of fun. But if I wanted to take this to an esports level, like I could get competitive with it. And so I think it strikes that good balance of hard to master kind of aspect. And I think that does well for it. but at the same time, it does have it is missing something that just grabs me from saying like, yeah, I want to purchase it, and I think that's why it is good that they went to the level 25, free to play kind of experience.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, like even with Rocket League, for example, like it's still one of those games that like I don't think I could go like 3-4 hour stretches on.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's honestly like if it was free to play, which I kind of wish they'd gone with in the first place, but it is what it
Hmm.
is. This is the game that like if you own, like this is like the game with like a bunch of your friends where you pop this one in and then you go for an hour, you pop something else in, and then you do that and you
Yeah.
pop something else in. Like that's the kind of thing it works really well for. But like as someone who would want to, who usually like plays for long stretches of stuff, this ain't it. This isn't going to be it for me. Obviously, other people will find reasons to like it, especially if you're a very competitive like online gamer. But like, man, I'm too chill for that shit anymore. I've lost my voice way too many times playing competitive games. I can't do that no more.
Yeah. In terms of level design, how did you find the level design? I found that like they're really open, but it just ended up being like everyone just clustered in one little area.
Yeah, I don't think this game puts itself well to maps like this. It's just
Mhm.
it's way too easy to not care about what's around you so much as like where the player points are. So you're not really paying attention to the map.
Yeah, and that's something I was playing as well. Like we were playing a level with like it almost looked like a construction building. It wasn't this one, but it looked it had like levels and stuff, and I barely explored it because we all just ended up getting put into one little choke point, and I would get knocked out, and then my two teammates would be there, so I would just run back, and then they would get knocked out, and we just all kind of just kept spamming that one little area. So I find that there's not a lot of open space, and so you're end up fighting in like little corridors, which is kind of weird. But overall, I liked it. I thought I think it's neat. And I definitely think it has legs, but I think definitely putting it as a 25 level free to play game is the way to go.
Yeah, it at least keeps people hanging around a little bit longer now.
Yeah, because this is a game that's going to live or die by its player base.
Yeah.
But I think it'll also benefit from like word of mouth and like as people start playing it and like, hey, you got to check this out, and they start playing with friends, like that'll definitely be something that benefits
Yeah,
them.
100%.
Hmm. So in terms of you, we don't typically. Well, I guess we do every time now. What would you give this in terms of a score?
It's a 7. It's good.
Yeah,
It's fun.
I completely agree. Yeah, I'd put this I'd put this I'd put this at an 8. If you're playing it for the free version, I'd put it as an 8. If you're paying for it, I'd probably put it down to like a 6.
I
Just
don't I
because I
yeah,
feel like
I definitely don't think it's worth $30 at start.
yeah, I feel like this
There's not
game
enough
should
there
be.
for $30.
No, I feel like this is a. I think you're right. I think it should have gone free to play, or free to play with like some cosmetic microtransactions. But I think the way that they're doing it now is okay.
For the time being,
So.
and we'll see how the player base thinks about it.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to see where this falls. Like, I already kind of feel like the game has kind of fallen off the radar a little bit, and maybe it might
Well,
be a
you
timing
figure
of
that's
like,
probably why if they suddenly changed how the free trial runs. So
yeah, I kind of feel like the game maybe didn't come out at the right time, seeing as we have like a bunch of games just on the horizon and a bunch that just came out, and so maybe it got overshadowed. And it could have been like if this had dropped in July, like that probably would have been an awesome time to have done it.
yeah, for sure.
So. Awesome. Yeah, no, but I would check it out. It's definitely free to play, and I would definitely recommend playing it if you guys have the inkling. But yeah, try before you buy is where I'd put it. So, Adam, I think that about covers the agenda for this week. Any sort of closing thoughts or anything before we wrap anything up? Anything from the comments?
Nope. Our chat was going up and down, but we seem to be at a point where everybody seems to be pretty satisfied. I haven't said anything wrong according to the chat, so we're good.
Hey, now let's see how YouTube takes that.
No, yeah, no, that's gonna be different.
All
I don't love your
right,
YouTube
Adam, any
comments.
sort
That's Kaylan's thing. He loves you guys.
of yeah, one of us good cops, one of us bad cop. Any sort of closing thoughts? Anything you want to say before we wrap up the show?
No, I mean we're gonna get most of our E3 stuff next week, so I'm gonna pretty much temper most of that for the following show.
For sure. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. If you are one of our longtime listeners, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you having you guys. We love seeing that feedback and those metrics climb up. So thank you so much for being part of this show. You guys are the reason why we do it. We would ask you if you guys like what you hear, give us a like, give us a subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Leave nice reviews. We totally appreciate all of that. If this is your first time here, hey, hope it was good for you. Leave a comment if you can. Let us know what you think is going to be coming up at E3. Let us know if you've played at Knockout City and what your thoughts are, or let us know what you thought of the state of play for Horizon Forbidden West. If you want to get in touch with us, we are available on Twitter at Pixel Playcast as well as Instagram Pixel Playcast. You can email us questions, comments if you want to, be part of the show. pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com. We go live every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are available anywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube at Pixel Play Podcast. I'm your host, Kaylan, aka Ktastrophy, as well, and my co-host, Adam, CSRadical. Thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.